Hi, this is Nancy Jester, and welcome to Nancy Jester Reports for Thursday, June 27th, 2019. This week we have met twice. This last week of June we met on Tuesday, which is our usual day, and had your board meeting, and we've met on Thursday as a commission and had a committee of the whole where we receive information and go over our agenda for next week. I want to say that the theme of this week, these two meetings back to back, are really about budget. We've also had some special called finance committee meetings, so I want to talk about that. I will say that we got a presentation on the transit master plan today, as well as a presentation from human development about a 5-year plan for them as well. So I won't go into details about that, but we'll try and get some of those details in upcoming newsletters. The budget process has obviously been the focus of this week because we're coming up on some time frames where we need to get the millage rate set and make any adjustments we're going to make, which we traditionally call our mid-year budget, and so that tax bills can be mailed and so on and so forth. So I want to just discuss sort of the nuts and bolts of the tax bill, because I do see a lot of confusion out there, and we get a lot of questions in our office about how it works. So I want to take the time to explain to you what the assessment you've gotten means and how that translates into how the budget and the millage rates translate into the bills that you're going to get. So you've all probably gotten now your property appraisal or your property assessment for 2019. It's based on 2018 data. And so, and of course you can appeal that if you like, so there's a whole process for that. So that's essentially the beginning point. This is the value of the property that you have. And then millage rates are applied to that value less any exemptions you have. The biggest one is most folks that own their home they live in, that they have a homestead exemption. So these things reduce the value that we assess taxes on. So again, you've got a property assessment, and then you've got these exemptions that you have. Another one with your homestead that you generally might have is the assessment freeze, which depending on when you bought your house could go back as far as I believe 2006, which means the value of your house is set at that level, the 2006, 7, 8, whatever year you applied for and received the freeze value, then that's the value that the county and city can tax you at for their property taxes. I want to be very explicit. The freeze, the assessment freeze that's been in place since 06 does not apply to the calculation of school taxes. And I want to also be clear that that is the largest by far, close to maybe 70% of your property taxes. So when since you have, generally if you have a freeze, unless the millage rate is going up and unless you don't get any of the host credit, and I'll get to that in a minute, generally the only factor that causes your property taxes in real dollars to increase is what you are paying in school taxes. So please take a careful look at your bill there. So one of the things that we also have in place, as you'll recall, we have a SPLOST in place now for county projects for road paving and certain other projects around the county. We've had an eSPLOST for the schools for many years, so but now we have one for the county. What you also get from the county is property tax relief. We have a thing called an e-host penny in the sales tax, so you also get a lot of sales tax relief, or excuse me, a lot of property tax relief from that penny sales tax. So you've got your homestead, you've got your freeze, and then you've got an offset of your property taxes by e-host sales tax money. So, and it almost takes care of the entire general fund millage rate from the county. So you get a very big tax credit from that particular sales tax. So you've got three things that really help mitigate and lower your property tax bill from the county. That is not true for the school district. So the school tax is there, or the school tax is there. But you're getting a lot of relief from those things on your county taxes. Every particular property's assessment and tax situation is unique and independent, but I'm just giving you some general parameters about how it works. You have your assessment, you've got your exemptions like your homestead, so that takes away some value for you. Then you've got your freeze value, so that takes away the value on which taxes can be assessed, and then you get a tax credit from your eHost sales tax component. And then, of course, you're left with what are net taxes due, and what plus your school taxes, right? Plus any fees, right? Because your sanitation fee for service is a fee for service. So I hope that helps you understand how taxes work against your assessment, okay? And all you've got right now is your assessment in hand. Anything on the bottom there is just an estimate of what your taxes might look like based on this assessment you've gotten, but that's not your tax bill. So you've not gotten your tax bill yet, because we have yet to set the millage rate. The school district just set their millage rate, but we are just getting ready to set the county's millage rate. I believe some cities have set theirs as well. So we have received the budget from the administration. The CEO's office has given us the mid-year 2019 budget and their recommendation for millage rates. And we are still going through it. We got it a little bit late this year, so we have a bit of a compressed time frame to go through and review the changes. There's not a lot of changes to the mid-year budget this year. It's pretty close to where we started with our adopted budget at the beginning of the year. So I don't anticipate too many changes. The millage rate that we are being asked to approve this year is the same as last year's in aggregate for unincorporated. Now, for all the cities in District 1 and most every other city except Stonecrest, the rate, their millage rate from the county is going down. That's because you don't just pay one millage rate for the county, you pay several. So everyone pays into the general fund. Everyone pays into the hospital fund. Those who use the fire service, which is almost all of DeKalb except for Decatur and Atlanta, pay into the fire fund. Those who use police services pay into that. But for instance, many of the cities in my district have their own police force, so they don't pay into that, like Dunwoody and Chamblee and Dorville and Brookhaven. Tucker uses DeKalb Police, so they would pay into that. So that's how you get different millage rates. So we'll post this. We've got a listing of the county millage rates for 18 and now what they're going to be for 19 here in the presentation. We'll put them up, but they're all going slightly down from 2018. So the millage rate is going down for most of the cities. The millage rate for unincorporated is staying flat at 20.81. Actually, technically, we are at below the rollback rate because the county-wide funds, the general and the hospital fund, are actually lower than the rollback rate. So that's actually really good news for everybody. That's the big that's the big picture, and I will just give you let's see, one other sort of note about the budget. All the tax funds, we have some other bond funds and so on, but basically we're anticipating in our general, our fire, our designated services, our unincorporated, our hospital, our police, and our other bond funds, we are anticipating revenue at about $654 million, and our expenses are right out about $652 million. We anticipate having an ending fund balance of over $110 million. So we've really grown our, what the CEO likes to refer to as a rainy day fund. I call our reserves. So we are growing our reserves. So something we've been doing for the last few years. We've been very fiscally prudent there. So I'm very pleased with that overall development. So that's what we're working on. We still have some nuts and bolts to go through with the budget. We'll be doing that in FAB committee on July 8th. There's some committee meetings next week, but just keep in mind with the week of the 4th of July being next week, we do not have our full Board of Commissioners meeting next week. We do have some committees are meeting and some individual meetings, but we will not come back together as a commission again until July 9th. So that's where we are. Hope that information is useful. If you've got any questions or concerns about the budget, we'll be putting up some information, and certainly drop us a line if you'd like any more details. And join us again next time for another edition of Nancy Jester Reports.